Good evening, everybody. May the force be with you. The correct response is, and also with you. Excuse me, we'll start over again. Some of you are new at this. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
May the force be with you.
And also with you.
Thank you very much. So here we are, Grapevine, Texas, the 49th Caller Lab Convention, which is quickly coming to a close. I hope you've enjoyed your time here and that you'll be taking home something with you. Not the salt and pepper shakers, but a new idea, a new get out, a new friendship. These conventions are for you. And I sincerely hope the memory of this convention brings a smile to your face. As I've mentioned in my direction articles and from the chair videos, only 1/3 of the total membership reads or watches the information that I try and share. I would bet that a high percentage of that third is here in this room tonight. You are the active and involved of our membership. Probably the most in tune with what is happening in our activity, as well as the most vocal. And I'm not saying that in a bad way, just making an observation. Many of you in this room know me. Some of you have grown to be very close friends. Others of you, meh. But as I close out my first term as chair, I've learned a lot about the collective you and a little bit more about myself as well. As most of you are aware, what I'm doing right now to me is the hardest part of this job. Not the reading in front of you, but the writing something coherent to share with you that I don't feel would be a waste of your time. I try to have most of my articles and videos be informative in some way, shape, or form. You've all got other things to do, and if you're going to sit here and listen to me, I want to make it worthwhile. So when I started preparing to write this speech, I went back and rewatched about 6 to 8 other chair speeches from the past conventions. By the way, these are all available on YouTube for everyone. But I have a feeling that this speech, like the others that I watch, will probably only get watched by future chairs for the same reason that I watch them. I guess I'm all right with that. What I took away from the past chair speeches was that there seems to be a need for change. Everyone talked about it. Everyone. So I'm assuming it's important. Honestly, if all the architects and the historians had to go on were those videos, you'd probably assume that change has been happening in the square dance activity at a rate that was so fast it must be imperceptible to the naked eye. I'll give you a minute. But that must be wrong, right? I mean, how could we not make change happen when literally every person in a leadership role that I watched believed that it's the thing to do? Well, I certainly didn't want to buck the trend, so I guess I'm going to speak about change. Just so I feel included. That's really the only reason. So, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to enlighten you a bit. Change is coming whether you like it or not. It is not I that will be enforcing this change. It's a little thing that we like to call time. Let's look at some data, shall we? Never mind, I didn't give her the data. Caller Lab's current total membership is just over 1,000. At the time I wrote this, it was 1,067. The average age of a voting Caller Lab member. I'll give you a second. Everybody gets to put a number in your head. Are you ready? 69.97. And I believe Teresa rounded down to be polite. Our average membership age overall is 68.22. Again, I would like to emphasize that these are averages. For those that don't understand how an average works, half of the people in the room are above 69.97. Not in this room, but there's other people. One would assume that any organization where a septuagenarian is the average age is bound to have change within its ranks, whether desired or not. And I just wanted to use the word septuagenarian, so there you go. Anyone here remember when you were younger how you used to look up to your doctor, your boss, your teacher, a banker, as a seasoned and wise person? Someone who had been around, seen some things, knew the ins and outs of the position, that age earned them a level of trust and respect by default. At some point, that switches, doesn't it? Suddenly, your doctor is some wet behind the ears whippersnapper straight out of college, doesn't look like he could find the right end of a stethoscope, much less diagnose a pain that he obviously won't even understand for another 30 years. But like I said, change happens. Time marches on. Let's take a look at the current Color Lab leadership for what I hope you'll agree is better news. So while the average age of the voting membership is, well, I'm going to round it to 70. The average age of your incoming 2024 BOG comes in at a staggering 63.5. The average age of your incoming EC is 59. We moved a decade. And if we include Teresa, which I do, and not for her age, but because of all of the fantastic work that she does, that number drops to an incredibly low 54. Yes, I prefer the number to be in the 40s too, but hey, I'm going to take the win where we can get it. Now me, I'm 57. So by Color Lab standards, I'm looking pretty sweet. But my doctor moment came a long time ago. I've managed to outlive my mom, who passed away at 52. And I'm quickly approaching Dad, who passed away at 59. And all of this happened 20 years ago, when I was in my mid-30s. Being the oldest of 5, I can attest that the way that you look at things, at life, changes when that happens to you at that age. One of the many changes was the homestead. I used to swing by often to hang out with Mom and see the family. And I didn't put this down there, but honestly, I went to square dance lessons about 2 miles from my mom's house when it all was said and done. And she would make me a hot meal because in my 20s, I didn't know how to do that. And I could also take a paper bag and go shopping in the cabinets because I didn't have any money. And Dad would wonder where the groceries went. But anyways, after they both moved on and the main question was, what do we do with the house? Well, we opted to have my middle sister buy the rest of us out so that she could raise her family there. She would still invite us over for a bonfire on the holiday, but every time I went back to the house, I noticed something was different. Not just the furniture, but the shape. Outside, they had added a deck, changed the old swing set. Inside, they removed the wall and built a new staircase. They added a room and a kitchen island. I mean, the old cabinets with the bad paneling was still there, but it felt like the house I knew, but yet it wasn't the house I knew. You see, sometimes the things we build when we grow up with and we put our heart and soul into, well, they need to change. The house that I knew growing up didn't meet the needs and the wants of the people that had moved in to carry on. Sure, I could get mad that something that I'd grown to love and cherish was changing around me, and not in the way that I envisioned it ever to be. But my job as big brother was to roll up my sleeves and help where I could, however I could. That's what Mom would have wanted. She raised me right, and that's what I damn well did. I still got to visit the property, still pointed out where the tree fort fell down in the back when me and my brothers were trying to build it, and we landed on our katukuses. Still got to reminisce with my brothers in the backyard around the bonfire about all the kooky stuff we used to do in the house with Mom and Dad. There were still kids running around all over the yard, all my cousins and my nephews and nieces, and still lots of laughter in the house. The house could change, because at the end of the day, I still had my family. And that's what matters the most. So I'm going to leave you with this. It's been said that sometimes you need to plant a tree knowing that you will never be around to see the full majesty and enjoy the shade that it provides. Folks, we have built a wonderful house here and filled it with incredible people. We have lived in that house for almost 50 years. Father Time has decreed that it will soon be under new ownership. The people that want to occupy this house for the next 50 years might like to do some remodeling, and they'd like your support. I encourage you to be one of those people that they've always looked up to and help them make the changes that they desire, even if some of those changes might not be exactly what you would have done. Because having the house around is the one thing that we don't want to change. And I think we can all agree on that. Thank you.